everybody. Thank you so much for coming today and joining a nationwide day of action to stop the abortion bans. We've got a great speaking lineup here today of many of our champions and advocates who have been fighting to stand up for these bans since we've seen them coming, which was a long time ago. Abortion rights have not been safe in this country for a very long time. Roe versus Wade has been chipped away in states across this country, and we are here to say we will not go back. No! I'm very excited to introduce our first speaker. I'm going to bring up Councilmember Deborah Juarez of the Seattle City Council.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Should I just pick this up here? Okay, good. Can you hear me now? You still can't hear me? Are you serious? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, I have some prepared notes and I'm just going to quickly go over them, but there's something more important that I want to add. Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Ohio, Missouri, Mississippi, what the fuck? These states passed unconstitutional law this year to ban abortion and punish people who become pregnant women. As an attorney of 31 years, I have never seen such a brazen and blatantly unconstitutional bills. These bans will punish and harm women, LGBTQ folks, families, children, but most of all, they will harm women of color and women. These rights, our rights, are under attack. And I want to stop right there, and now I want to just speak as a mother, as a woman that has had an abortion. That is the most difficult, sensitive, emotional decision a woman will ever have to make. How dare you tell me and my doctor and my future, in my DNA, whether or not I can be a mother or have a child. I'm tired as a woman of being told to be quiet, to wait my turn, to stay in my lane, to lean in, to shut up, to sit down. This is more than just about our choice about health care. This is about our value as a human being, as a person. Besides fighting for the right to decide what is important for our body and our destiny, we also have to fight for the right that we should get paid what a man gets paid. We have been putting up with getting paid less, breaking the glass ceiling, leaning in. Well, you know what? I say screw that. I say bust in. I'm tired. I just read an article last night in Medium saying, oh, be pro-choice, but be pro-voice. And I'm saying, you know what? That's not enough to be pro-voice. I'm saying open your mouth and tell these people to shut up. I am saying do not put my rights in your mouth and take them from me. They are taking something that's mine. My choice, your daughter's choice, your granddaughter's choice about whether or not to be a mother. And as a mother of a 28-year-old and a 25-year-old, two girls that I have raised, to learn to bust in, not lean in, not ask permission. How dare you tell me what I can and cannot do with my body? I want to end on this note. Let it be known that the city of Seattle and the state of Washington will not join those other backward states that don't recognize a woman's right to choose. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Next, I'm excited to bring up Representative Nicole Macri of the 43rd Legislative District, who is the prime bill sponsor of the Reproductive Health Access for All Act, which passed the state legislature this year. Thank you.
Washington State stands as a leader in terms of reproductive justice and health care for all. This session, we stood apart from states, as Tiffany said, in passing the Reproductive Health Access for All. We know that whether And when you have a family is one of the most consequential things that can happen in a person's life, and particularly for women. They impact the trajectory of your life and future generations. We know that the actions that are being taken in many states today will be harmful not only to women but to the most vulnerable people in our country. This is deliberate. This is being done to take away the economic vitality and sustainability of families across this country. This is being done to take away opportunities for education and freedom in our country. The Reproductive Health Access for All Act ensures that everyone can have access to the reproductive health care that they need, no matter their gender identity or expression, no matter where they were born and how much money they have. With that, we are taking strides to be the leader that this nation needs. Washington State stands in solidarity with the millions of people across this country looking for reproductive justice, because they understand that reproductive justice is gender justice, is human rights, is immigrant rights, is workers' rights. We are not giving up. We have more to do in Washington State. And while they are trying to criminalize the practice of healthcare and put doctors in jail in states like Alabama, Georgia, and Kentucky, here in Washington State, I will continue to fight for the Patient Protection Act to ensure that doctors and patients can have conversations about medically accurate procedures regardless of the religious affiliation of the healthcare facilities in this state. And as we see more and more consolidations of Catholic hospitals, particularly in rural areas of this state, we must continue to fight for access to reproductive health care here in Washington and across the country. Today I was reflecting about when I joined the March on Washington back in 1992 when I was a college student during the time of the Casey case at the Supreme Court. Thousands, millions, I think, of young people and old people from across the country coming together to fight for a women's right to choose. I am heartened today because thousands of young people across this country are saying no to bans on abortion and yes to true reproductive justice. We will continue to fight here at home, and we need all of you to continue to stand with folks across this nation to say no to fights against our own human rights and yes to true reproductive health care justice across this country. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm very excited to bring up our next speaker, Councilmember Lorena González.
All right, Seattle, how you doing? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really mad. Are you mad? How mad are you? Donald Trump. All right, we're mad. All right, Seattle, welcome to City Hall. Welcome to the movement. Welcome to the revolution. Today, Seattle, today we stand as one to tell, no, let me say that again, to demand the extreme politicians across this country hear us loud and clear. Access to safe and legal abortion is health care. And I know that here in Washington State, you are with me. Attacks on women and their reproductive health is not new. What is new is the reinvigorated boldness of straight-up ideology that is transparently motivating these insidious, unconstitutional, hateful, misogynistic bills across the country. 8 states have passed abortion bans this year alone. filing on the nearly 300 pieces of anti-choice legislation that have been introduced since the beginning of 2019 in state legislatures across the country. How do we feel about that? That's right, you should be outraged. It is outrageous. I am outraged. You are outraged. And we cannot stand idly by while our sisters in the movement are attacked on the daily by politicians who have no business getting in our business. Now, I am a civil rights attorney, not just a council member. I have fought for women's rights my entire career and have brought that into City Hall. I, unlike some of these extreme politicians, still believe in the thing we call the U.S. Constitution of the United States of America. And as an activist and a movement builder, I also believe that history will always be on the right of the just because we carry the burden of making sure we defend our people, immigrants, LGBTQ, refugees, our indigenous First Nation members. Everyone must count. And when we come together to put the well-being of everyone at risk under these laws, especially low-income people, immigrant populations, the LGBT community, and communities of color, we know we will win the day in the history books. We should never forget that 7 in 10 Americans in this country want politicians to defend Roe versus Wade. 7 out of 10. We want this law defended. It is absolutely critical. We must do everything in our power here in Washington State to lead the way and send a very strong message of solidarity to our friends in Missouri, in Alabama, anywhere they might be where they are being attacked. We know that the Constitution stands with us. It is at our back. It is in the front, and we will stand with that Constitution. So I want you, right now, I want you to get yourself ready. Anybody who's heard me speak knows that I usually like to have audience participation. So I want you, in this moment, to harness all your energy into your gut and into your throat. And on the count of 3, I want to hear you roar. Right? Because women, we roar. So on the count of 3, I want you to make it really loud. I want you to make it so loud that you can feel it just rumbling from your gut into your throat right now. I want it so loud that Alabama and our U.S. Supreme Court can hear the fierce, unrelenting, resilient roar of women in Washington State. Are you with me? You ready to roar? Ready on 3. 1, 2, 3. Roar!
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lorena González. Let's give it up. I'm excited to bring up another council member from the city of Seattle, Teresa Mosqueda.
Seattle! Washington State! Let's be clear. The attack on legal abortions is all about control. Control over a woman's body. Control over our destiny. Control over our economic stability. Control over our reproductive choices. Control, regardless of how sound of mind, how much education we have, how much success that we have. They can't stand it, and they want control. They can't stand it that we're exhibiting self-determination, that we're sitting in seats of power, that we're speaking up and speaking We're standing up. We're fighting back. We're speaking up for ourselves because the only ones who have control over our bodies is women ourselves. This attack, this unconstitutional attack to gut Roe v. Wade and put women's health and lives in danger will not go by without a fight. We will fight every single day. We will stand up and we will win. This atrocious attack on our rights, our freedom, our bodies has nothing to do with protecting life. In fact, it's the complete opposite. It's our lives, it's our health that's in danger. And in fact, it's a disproportionate attack on women who are from communities of color, specifically Black and Native communities who already have higher rates of maternal mortality. This attack will put their lives and every woman's lives in more danger, and we are fighting back in the name of every woman, especially women of color. So, my friend Shane, she's due any day. She's been having contractions for the last week. I'm due in 20 weeks. And we have been talking about the pains and the aches and the joints and the stretching, and this was a wanted pregnancy. Imagine going 9 months with these aches and pains and changes to your bodies because you were forced to, because of rape or incest or because of an unwanted pregnancy. That trauma is unconscionable. We cannot let anyone force any person to have to carry a pregnancy that they don't want. It is our choice. It is our freedom. It is our destiny, and we get the right to decide. We won't let politicians and those who are anti-choice, who don't understand what a fallopian tube is or where to find a follicle, dictate to us what we do with our body, will we? No! We're here to say that for all of us in this city, in this county, in this state, in this nation, we are fighting for you, for your families, for the little girls that Shane and I are about to have, so that our girls can grow up with the same level of self-determination that every human being ought to have. And reproductive freedom is a human right. I'll close with this. That those who purport that they care about family values, that they're doing this in the name of women and children and families, we call that out for what it is, a lie! If they actually cared about it, they would stop gutting Medicaid, they would stop defunding childcare, and they would stop criminalizing poverty. We know the truth. This is all about choice and control. So for us, we're standing up, we're fighting back. As the chair of labor and healthcare, this is a woman's right, a labor right, and a healthcare justice issue in the city of Seattle and in King County. We will pass a regional health plan for all that includes access to abortion, that protects providers, provides a sanctuary, regardless of what happens at the federal level. Because healthcare is a human right. 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 Healthcare is a human right.
Thank you. All right, we are fighting this in the streets, but we are also fighting this in the courts. And so the next person I'm going to introduce is our Premier Washington State fighter in the courts, Attorney General Bob Ferguson.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I have a question for you. Are you outraged? Are you outraged by what's going on in Alabama and Georgia and Missouri and other states? Are you ready to rally for your rights? Are you ready to march for your rights? Are we going to let this stand? No. Hell no. First of all, thank you. Thank you to the organizers, thanks to elected officials, and thanks to each and every one of you for being here today. we have a lot of work ahead of us. Now look, this will ultimately be fought in the courts, right? They don't get a free pass on this. And I want you to know my team, who has some experience fighting extremist policies at the national level, by the way, we got a little experience with that. I want you to know a first line of defense will be your Democratic attorneys general. And we'll be fighting this every inch of the way. If that means going all the way to the United States Supreme Court, is that where we're going to go? And we're going to win like we win so often. And look, this is just the latest outrageous attack. I'll just give you one other example in the interest of time. The Trump administration itself is attacking women's access to the full range of reproductive choices, including abortion. That Title X decision they issued, Title X plays a key role in access, especially for low-income women, to access health care, including abortions. That gag rule that the Trump administration put in place that limits, it's hard to believe this is true, right? That limits what a doctor can say to a woman when they're talking about her health care options. They call it a gag rule for a reason.
That's okay, we don't listen.
That is un-American. Why in the world is a politician in the room when a doctor is speaking to a woman about her body and her choices? Is that right? No. The good news is my office filed a lawsuit challenging that right here in Washington State. We filed that in federal court in Yakima, and we were the first state to get not just a win, but a national injunction putting a stop to that outrageous policy. So whether it's taken on the Trump administration, and by the way, it's not like I'm keeping score, but so far the track record is state of Washington 22, Trump administration 0. That's a goose egg, right? 0. Or in this case, taking on a state legislature. You saw that lineup of all those white dudes? Right? I mean, what is up with that? What is up with that? The good news is they don't get the final word. That's the court system. That's where we fight. That's where we win. That's what we do. My team does a hell of a job at doing this. I'm going back to the office right now to meet with that team. I want you to know we will not rest. We'll work with other Democratic AGs, and we will put a stop to this. Thank you all very much. Keep it up.
Thank you. All right, I am so excited to bring up our next speaker, the Executive Director of SURGE, Reproductive Justice, right here in the Pacific Northwest, Jackie Vaughn.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jackie Vaughn, and I'm the Executive Director of SURGE Reproductive Justice. For centuries, Black women and women of color have had their reproductive autonomy taken away and controlled by the state, whether that be the forced reproduction of Black women under the slave system or the forced sterilization of Indigenous and Puerto Rican women. White supremacy has always wielded the power to control the reproductive autonomy of women. And because that racism has gone unchecked for centuries, now all women and those with uteruses, reproductive autonomy is under attack. Since 1976, low-income women and women of color have had their access to abortion taken away by the Hyde Amendment, which bans federal funding from covering abortions. Now we see the same legislative coercion being blatantly enacted into legislation today in Alabama and other states across the South with their recently passed abortion ban, this time with no exception to race or class. I'm here today because now that we've all gathered here together to speak out against these legislative attacks on our bodies, I'm asking you to stand with SURGE Reproductive Justice and reproductive justice organizations across the country to address the roots of these attacks, which is racism, classism, and sexism. Reproductive justice was created by Black women to address these because in our communities we know all too well the coercion and control by the state that can take away your constitutional rights. So now is the time to stop these attacks on our communities of color and on our bodies so that my daughter and those who are coming of age do not have to live in a country where they do not have the choice to control and make the decisions over their own bodies. Thank you.
quick second to just do one rally cry. I know we already roared, but I want to make sure that the women who've been holding it down in the South, the women of color who've been organizing against these bans and for reproductive justice for a long time can hear us. So at the count of 3, I want us to say, sorry, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so honored to introduce the next. I'm so excited to introduce the next speaker, Representative Kristine Reeves from the 30th Legislative District, right here in Washington State.
Good afternoon. As many of you know, I'm the youngest working mom in the state legislature. It's because I'm a state representative that I'm standing on this stage today. But it's because I'm a mom that I want to share my story for the first time. You see, I'm as proud of being a mom as I am of having exercised my right to choose. Because I believe in personal choice. Choice in the marketplace, choice in who we love, choice in parenting styles, and especially choice in personal health care decisions. I've had to make that choice myself. You see, I was a graduate student in a long-term relationship with the man who would become my husband. I discovered that I was pregnant, and knowing that I needed to finish graduate school and become financially stable before I started my family, I chose not to become a mom. But in 2012, when my husband and I were ready, we chose to become parents, and we welcomed my son. And we did it again in 2014 when we welcomed my daughter. But after 2 very difficult pregnancies, my son was 11.5 pounds, my daughter was 10.5 pounds. After 2 very difficult pregnancies, I chose not to have any more children. I chose to have my tubes tied because I believe in personal choice. And you see, we are lucky enough to live in a state where those choices were and are still currently available to me, to you, and to others like us. I chose to wait to start my family until I was socially, emotionally, and financially stable enough to care for another human being. And I've chosen not to have any more children, not because I don't love them, but because I believe in the health and personal safety of my body. I am who I am today because I have the freedom to exercise my personal choices. So that's why I can say, as your state representative, as a private citizen, and as a woman who walks through this world where my rights, your rights, and our rights are constantly under attack, I will fight every single day for our right to choose if, when, and how women want to become parents, no matter what.
All right, my body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice.
My body, my choice. My body.
Next, I'm bringing up the Commissioner of Public Lands, Hilary Franz. Thank you. Can we give a shout a rapist child from getting an abortion. Where is this girl's right being protected? Think how unfair that is. Think how wrong that is. As a mother of 3 boys, I know that nothing is more fundamental than the right to start and grow a family. In total now, 30 states have introduced, passed, or signed into law recently explicitly designed to overturn Roe v. Wade and criminalize or take away our rights. 30 states! 30 states! This is a war on women. This is a war on our families. This is a war on our rights. More than any other time in my life, we need to remember that the rights we have won did not come because we sat back waiting for Congress or the courts to give them to us. Our rights came because we organized, we protested, and we voted to uphold justice. While we know that Roe v. Wade made the right to an abortion the law of the land, access was truly won by grassroots activism and agitation that forced the states and the Supreme Court to recognize our rights. It's time to not let them take away our rights. It's time to show the strength of our voice. It's time to do our job as citizens, women and men, and bring democracy alive by organizing, protesting, and engaging our leaders. In 2017, after the inauguration, women all across this country took to the streets. We need that same engagement. We need allies like you to stand up for reproductive freedom. We need you to dedicate your time, your energy, and your passion to organize and stand up for choice. We need to bring your family out, your friends out, bring strangers out, because our voices and our actions matter. And I'm going to say this, you need to make sure you are supporting candidates up and down the ballot to stand up and share your priorities. And I'm going to say, as one of the youngest women in statewide office, more than ever, we need women to run for office in this state and across this country. Finally, when women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up like that!
What do we do?
Stand up like that!
What do we do?
Stand up like
yes!
that!
Let's go do it! Thank you! Talk about women running. The next person I'm going to bring up here is State Senator Manka Dhingra.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? We have to be pissed off because the war that is being waged on women's bodies has to end. Women, trans, non-binary individuals' lives are at risk anytime there is policy interference with an individual's access to health care. Being equal under the law means equal access and non-interference with medical decisions for all individuals regardless of gender identity. Barriers to health care impact economic independence, and we must move forward, not backwards. With my election 2 years ago when we flipped the state Senate, thank you to all of you for that. We finally were able to pass reproductive parity in the state of Washington. who are pro-choice, we were able to protect healthcare access to everyone in the state of Washington. Because having laws are great, but we have to make sure that they come with the access that everyone needs in order to make sure they can utilize that access. In Washington, we will continue to move forward to ensure that everyone has access to the healthcare that they need. In Washington, we will not let gender or healthcare be used to wage political, social, or economic oppression, because that is what this is. Thank you.
One of our newest state senators, Joe Nguyen, is going to come up and talk about what's at stake here in Washington.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody here in Seattle for coming out today. Thank you. My name's Joe Nguyen. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a man for choice. We are at a pivotal moment in our history where sadly politicians, mostly mediocre white men, are trying to take us back to 1973. Are we gonna allow that? No! Exactly. But this is Washington, and this is very different than the Washington on the East Coast. And I feel very fortunate to live in this great state.
That's right.
Where the majority of our legislators understand and appreciate the rights of women. And like Senator Dhingra said, we passed the Reproductive Parity Act in 2018, and if you believe that women deserve the right to have an abortion, please give it up for Senator Dhingra again for winning her election. The majority of Americans support a woman's right to choose, and now is the time to make sure that everybody knows that is a fact. Choice means that we have access to health care, which includes reproductive rights. Choice means that all families should have the option to choose their own features. And choice means that women should control their own bodies. Washington has been a reproductive leader in the history of this state, but we must continue to lead because women's rights are human rights.
Join me in some chanting. We're going to say my body, my choice. Her body, her choice. His body, his choice. Their body, their choice. All right? My body.
My choice.
Her body.
Her choice.
His body.
His choice.
Their body.
Their choice.
My body.
My choice.
Her body.
Her choice.
His body.
His choice.
Their body.
Their choice.
Thank you guys. I'm going to actually bring up Councilmember González one more time. So, here we are at Seattle City Hall today, and we have an exciting announcement to make.
All right, so I thought we'd give you a little bit of, I guess, mid-programming snack on a really super exciting thing that we're going to be doing here at City Hall on Tuesday. That's this Tuesday in City Hall at 2 o'clock. I will be the prime sponsor on a resolution standing in solidarity with our sisters in the fight across the country. I want to invite you all to join us. That's 2 p.m. on Tuesday. We're going to reaffirm that reproductive rights is a justice issue, and we're excited that you all will join us here. Next week on Tuesday. Next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you for holding me accountable to the date.
Thank you. All right, next up, I'm excited to invite up one of my friends from Legal Voice, Kim Clark. There you are.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kim Clark, and I'm Senior Attorney for Reproductive Rights, Health, and Justice at Legal Voice. And my message today for you is simple, and that is that we have work to do, Washington. Whatever happens with the Supreme Court, we know that we can't rely on this court to fully protect the rights of pregnant people if we ever could. And given that reality, Nationally, all eyes are on the states as laboratories for what can happen, for better or for worse. You've seen the worst. That's why we're here today. And while other states are passing these backward laws, grassroots and legal advocates across the country are looking to states like Washington, not just to hold strong, but to forge ahead. Ruth Bader Ginsburg once said that her dissents speak to a future age. That's what we've been doing here in Washington since 1970, when Washington became the first state in the nation to make abortion legal by citizen referendum. The fundamental right to abortion is safe here in Washington. Both state law and the Washington Constitution protect it. But that is not enough. Of course, all people have the right to be free of government control of their bodies. But that should be the bare minimum, shouldn't it? That's the future age that we dreamed of in 1970, and we're still not there. Washington has an opportunity to lead the way toward a more just future in which all people have the basic resources that they need to have children or not have children, and to parent the children that they have in safe, sustainable communities. These other states are on the wrong side of history. But we will be too if we don't dream bigger than we did in 1970. The arc of the moral universe will bend towards reproductive justice for all people, but only if we fight like hell to protect it. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our legal advocates fighting this in the courts. Thank you to all of you fighting this in the streets.
Fight like hell! 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 Fight like hell!
The next speakers that I'm going to be bringing up are fighting this by sharing their stories. From Shout Your Abortion, Amelia Bennell and Alana Edmondson.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be in the streets with you today.
Good day, Seattle.
It's good to be in the streets with people who care about freedom. And you know what? These streets belong to us just like our bodies. 5 years ago, I had an abortion. It was not a difficult decision at all, and I am living my very best life because of it. And if you can hear me right now and you love people who have had abortions, if you love abortion providers, if you have had an abortion and you don't give a fuck who knows about it, I want to hear you right now. That's right. Let's not be afraid of this word. We need to own it, okay? Because abortion is freedom. That is what we are saying. And also, it's good to see people of all gender presentations in the crowd today. And I wish that we would stop framing abortion as a women's issue. Abortion is not a women's issue because people of all genders have abortions, first of all, and we have got to stop creating progressive movements that leave people behind. And second of all, abortion is not a women's issue because it's not an individual issue. Abortion is a fundamental human rights issue. It is a class issue. It is a race issue. And it is a gender justice issue as well. We cannot make any meaningful progress fighting inequality in this country without universal, unqualified access to abortion, free abortion. So if you care about eradicating white supremacy, if you care about eradicating poverty, this is your issue. If you don't want to live in a world where autonomy and self-determination is a class privilege, then this is your issue. Abortion bans are class and race warfare. Full stop. Because let's get real. These people are not actually trying to ban abortion. They're just trying to decide who gets to have them. Their wives, their mistresses, their daughters are going to be getting abortions, secret, safe abortions, legal or not, always. White women, women of means, people of means are going to have abortions. All that these bans are trying to do is keep poor people poor and keep white people in charge of everything. And fuck that! In a country where 73% of people support Roe versus Wade, 1 in 4 women have an abortion. Voting for abortion bans should end your political career. But they've crunched the numbers and they've somehow decided that they can get away with this shit. But that is just because they are banking on our silence and our invisibility. And fuck no.
Get a vagina!
So in order to tell them that they counted wrong, we're gonna have to fill the streets. We're gonna have to fill all these streets, which belong to us, just like our bodies. And you know what? Also, we're gonna have to start talking about self-managed abortion because we're having abortions, legal or not, and we need to learn to spread this information safely so we can keep each other safe.
Amen.
And also, fight for safe, legal, free abortion on demand without apology for any fucking reason that you want. And we're gonna keep being out here and being beautiful until this shit is absolutely shameless. Thank you.
Hello, Seattle. My name's Alana, and I've had 2 abortions. Despite the legislative efforts of what I want you all to remember is a minority regarding abortion access in this country, people are still going to get abortions.
That's right.
I want to use this platform to address the reality of these abortion bans as they pertain to Black people who can get pregnant, those who are still fighting and demanding that their lives matter, those who are fighting for civil rights that the politicians in Alabama and Georgia are ready and willing to give to a cluster of cells while they gun down Black men in the streets. Without repercussions. But you're pro-life. Alabama has the nation's highest rate of cervical cancer deaths, and Black women are twice as likely to die from preventable cancer as white women. But this legislation is pro-life? Whose? Alabama has one of the highest infant mortality rates in this country. Pro-life. The truth is that Black and Hispanic people are more likely to experience unplanned pregnancies. Elected politicians choose not to address the gaps in access to affordable health care and contraception that are sustained by the institutionalization of discriminating. I read that wrong. Okay.
It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That are sustained by the institutionalized discrimination that they perpetuate with legislation like this abortion ban. Legislation that would, again, give the U.S. government the prosecutorial discretion to punish people of color.
That's right.
Legislation that we will not allow.
That's right. No.
This isn't a regression to the way things were pre-Roe. This is a dramatic escalation of pre-Roe legal regime.
Yeah.
We will continue to shout. Fuck them! We will never again be as silent as we were before. I believe that wholeheartedly. If this is the land of the free, abortion is freedom. And being pro-life means supporting the right to the pursuit of happiness for people who can get pregnant. The people whose lives are not up for debate, because this isn't a debate. Thank you.
All right, real quick, I want to give a shout out that the staff of Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal is here. She is representing us in Washington, D.C., fighting at rallies there. Next up, I'm going to introduce the mayor of Seattle, Jenny Durkan.
Hello there. First, let's give the men in this chamber a round of applause. Because it's not a woman's issue. Thank you for that. And all you men around here, if you feel like there's too few of you, this is what every boardroom in America feels like for women. This is what Congress feels like for women. And what we'll say is, someone said to me, Mayor, what do you think about a heartbeat law? And I said, how about this? If a woman has a heartbeat, you stay the hell out of her bedroom, out of her doctor's office, and keep your hands off her health care decisions. Stay out of my vagina! She said that. Look, we can't go back. When we had the Women's March after the last inauguration, one of the signs I saw that summed it up is, I can't believe we're still marching for reproductive rights. We cannot go back. Will you join me in that? We won't go back. 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 Do we vote? Yes. Do we vote? Yes. Do we vote? Yes. Will we vote today? Yes. And tomorrow? Yes. Look, the only way we will stop laws that continue to infringe on women's rights is if we control who makes the laws. We have to march, we have to organize, and we have to stand up. We must remember, we can't go back. And it's not just about reproductive rights and abortion rights. If people are pro-life, where is universal health care? Where is prenatal care for every woman who is pregnant? Where is the opportunity for every child that is born? Where is the educational opportunities? The job opportunities? What are we doing to protect every child that is born? That's when they walk away. So we will not only not go back, we will march forward and we will demand that we get those universal rights for every child, every woman, every person in Seattle and across this country. So let's say it one more time. We will not go back. We will go forward. We will go forward. We will demand to go forward. Keep it up every day. Thank you.
I also want to thank the staff of Senator Patty Murray, who are here with us today while she fights for us in Washington, D.C. Next, I am thrilled to invite up someone from an organization, the Northwest Abortion Access Fund, that partners with abortion funds across the country to make sure people have access no matter what kind of barriers they face, what financial barriers they're facing in their states. Nilafar Ganjai, from the board member of Northwest Abortion Access Fund.
Thank you all so much for being here. I want to give a quick round of applause to everyone that stood up here and shared their story. Thank you. Thank you to our elected officials fighting for us every single day. My name is Nilafar Ganjai, and I'm with the Northwest Abortion Access Fund. Who here knows what an abortion fund is? Okay. So folks that raise their hand, what does an abortion fund do?
Fund abortion!
We fund abortion. We put it in the name. So I want to talk about what else we do. Yes, we fund abortion because abortion is very expensive. And we also help coordinate people that are needing to cross state lines to get to their appointments. Plane tickets, volunteers that drive them, places to stay, all of these things that create additional barriers for people trying to access abortion. Y'all, this is not a Southern issue. We are doing this in the Pacific Northwest. While the recent string of abortion bans has come mostly out of the South, we need to think about what's happening right here at home. We run a 24/7 hotline where folks call and seeking financial assistance or ways to get to their appointment. I took a call this morning helping a woman travel from Idaho to Washington just to get her abortion. This is unacceptable.
Bullshit!
This is a local issue. I am so thrilled to see so many people out here at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. I cannot thank you enough for showing up, for caring about this issue, for caring about the people that need abortions and have trouble getting to their appointment or paying for them. And I need y'all to do one more thing, not just show up, not just march. I need you to put your money where your mouth is. I need you to donate to abortion funds. I need you to donate to abortion funds in the South that are doing this work. These systems are in place. Thank you for wanting to create new ones, but we know how to get people to their appointments, and I need you to help us resource it. Thank you so much.
Okay, I want to, for the abortion funds, one big thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you! All right, next up, you know what? For too long, the so-called pro-life movement, those hypocrites, have said that they are the ones that have faith, that they are the ones who, from their religious beliefs, believe these things. But that is not the case. Lots of religious leaders stand up fighting for our reproductive rights every day because they believe the radical notion that women are human beings. Yes! Next, I'm going to be inviting up a minister from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Edmonds, Eric Kamenetsky.
Good afternoon, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Eric Kamenetsky. I was invited to speak today because I am entitled as an ordained Unitarian Universalist clergy person to wear this collar. I accepted the invitation to speak today because I practice feminism. Though I come to this role and this podium as a Unitarian Universalist minister, the message I bring you is because I am the son of Dr. Harold A. Kamenetsky, MD, past president of the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. He was also the chairperson of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey. He worked tirelessly through the last half of the last century to expand, extend, and guarantee women access to all vital and necessary evidence-based and compassionate health care. As a physician who faced the grim, septic realities of unregulated abortion services, he dedicated his professional life to seeing that neither geography nor economic status would get between women and their health care. My father's message, which I carry to you here today, is as follows. Women's well-being, and indeed the world's well-being, depends on women's absolute power to control their reproduction. We must be vigilant, my friends, against the forces that seek to return women to the Dark Ages. Finally, to the governor of the great state of Georgia and to his legislative minions, let us say this again. 7 in 10 Americans believe abortion should be safe and legal. And those 7 in 10 have compassion for a woman making her own choices about whether, when, and how to have a family. Your efforts to stifle the freedom of women and people of all gender identities who might be affected by your actions will not succeed, and we will not forget. May it be so, my friends. If your clergy person does not practice feminism, ask them why. Amen.
Thank you. All right. I know the lunch hour is about to be over, so we're going to wrap it up really quickly. First, I'm going to bring up one of my colleagues from Planned Parenthood, and then we're going to have Councilwoman Kshama Sawant, always bringing the fire, who's going to close us out today. Does that sound good, people? All right. First up, from Planned Parenthood Votes Northwest and Hawaii, Vice President Treasurer Macri.
It is so great to be here today. I am Treasurer Macri, and I am the Vice President with Planned Parenthood Votes Northwest and Hawaii, and Planned Parenthood Advocates of Indiana and Kentucky, because we are taking the fight in Washington and helping our friends over in Indiana and Kentucky. Now, I can tell you that every single day, people come to Planned Parenthood for health care. And every single day, Planned Parenthood fights to protect for access to reproductive health care, including access to abortion. Now, over the last few weeks, we have seen an onslaught of state legislators passing the most extreme bans on abortion. They are taking away our reproductive health and rights from the people that they pledged to serve, and they are threatening to jail doctors for simply doing their jobs. Now, let's be clear. These laws put anyone who can potentially get pregnant in jeopardy. But they didn't happen overnight. The anti-choice movement has been working for decades to hammer away at Roe v. Wade. They've been working to elect people who will strip away access to abortion and take away our freedom, our equality, and our ability to make healthcare decisions about our own bodies. Now, we are fighting. We are fighting with everything we've got. We're fighting in the courts, we're fighting in the streets, and we are fighting at the ballot box. Now, friends, it's not just about today. This is a marathon. Our jobs are to show up today and every single day. So my ask for you is to do one thing every day, and I got 7 of them. First off, go to a rally. Look, you did it today. Good job. Call your legislator and lobby Congress. Write a letter to the editor. Share your own abortion story, because 1 in 4 women have had an abortion, and abortion is normal, and abortion is health care. Run for office or support someone who's running for office. Donate your time, your money, because these fights are long. And for the love of God, vote. Vote like your lives depend on it, because they do. Now, at Planned Parenthood, we've been fighting for 100 years, and we will fight for another 100 years, because abortion is health care. Thank you.
Give it up for City Council Member Kshama Sawant.
Dear friends, my gratitude to NARAL Pro-Choice Washington for organizing this important rally. Thanks also to Planned Parenthood, now the hundreds of you who are here and who have been fighting for decades for women's rights and the rights of everyone. From the Trump White House to Alabama and Mississippi, from Brazil to Poland, the right wing is attempting to scapegoat marginalized communities for the crisis in our society. I agree with my fellow speaker. They are not pro-life, they are anti-poor. In the US, these attacks have seriously escalated since Trump's election, but the rights attack on abortion rights unfortunately predate Trump. Our movement must reject the failed strategy adopted by many establishment Washington D.C. politicians of making concessions to the right wing and hoping that it will stop there.
That's right. No concessions!
Instead, we need to draw inspiration from the young women across the country who courageously held street protests against the Brett Kavanaugh appointment. From the Google workers, 20,000 of whom held an international work stoppage and won an end to forced arbitration and sexual harassment cases. From the public school teachers in West Virginia, most of them women, who went on a wildcat strike and brought the Republican legislature to its knees. From Sarah Nelson, international president of the Association of Flight Attendants, who said, and I quote, "Workers are always told, just wait for the next election, but I have seen immediate results when they take action together. This is still her quote, start in the workplace and the politics will follow," unquote. Let's also take inspiration from the socialist-led movement in Ireland last year that gained a historic victory, overturning the decades-long abortion ban. And on top of that, winning abortion on demand for all women for 12 weeks. Rather than rely only on the courts and the political establishment, my friends, let's build mass protests throughout the country. Leading mass protests leading up to a national day of action. And let's build a fighting movement to win Medicare for all. To make abortion free and available for all women, along with full health care for LGBTQ and trans community members. And why? Why should we do all this? Because history and the present shows that when we get organized collectively and we fight, we can win. So please chant with me. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Solidarity.
All right, just to lead us in some chants and to close us out today, we have Helen Gilbert from Radical Women.
Thank you. I have a statement from Radical Women. My name is Helen Gilbert. I'm the national organizer for Radical Women. We've been fighting for reproductive rights since our founding, and I'm very proud that our earliest members worked with black women from the anti-poverty program to hold one of Washington's first rallies for abortion rights in the Washington State Legislature. We're proud that Radical Women members have confronted the fetus fetishists in clinics in many cities around the country, including Seattle, Everett, and elsewhere. We need to step up this clinic defense now, because the abortion bans are going to make the anti-choicers even more aggressive. But we need to be just as aggressive, if not more. The religious right is not just about stopping abortion, but controlling every aspect of women's lives. We need to stand for and fight with those who are most under attack. This means Black and Native American women who are at the highest risk of death in childbirth and for infant mortality. We need to fight with a multi-issue focus, knowing that reproductive justice has to include free abortion on demand, affordable child care, no forced sterilization, health care and housing for all, and an end to the racist prison pipeline that separates families just as much as ICE does. To keep abortion legal, we need a militant feminist movement that's out in the streets, standing with all communities under attack. We need to call on our unions to defend the rights of their members. We need to show how assaults on legal abortion are just the beginning of the reactionary agenda of the far right, the Trump regime.
Yes, that is good. Right there.
Since Roe versus Wade was won, we've spent a lifetime trying to hold on to this right. We've been told to pin our hopes on one more candidate and one more sympathetic judge. But meanwhile, we've lost more and more ground.
That's right.
This incremental approach is not working.
Not working at all.
We cannot spend another lifetime trying to hold on to control over our bodies. We can't spend another lifetime trying to stop racist and anti-trans violence and deadly U.S. wars that target women and children around the world. As we build a movement for reproductive rights and abortion, legalized abortion, we need to build a movement to overthrow this whole woman-hating, racist, capitalist system. We can't wait another lifetime to win a socialist world where human rights and environmental sanity are the high values. Let's build reproductive justice into a fight that's a mass movement to challenge patriarchal capitalism at every level. This is the only way to be sure that the rights we fight for today will still be here tomorrow.
Thank you, Radical Women.